Food security today faces many threats. There are the near-term current threats. For example, severe weather events, which have become more and more frequent in the Asian continent, pests and diseases, which lead to outbreaks that then cause tremendous crop losses. And of course, then price hikes which make food unaffordable to the poorer sectors of society. So these are all current threats to food security. But looking forward, in the mid to longer term, climate change is a real threat to the Asian continent. Climate change in the sense of increased temperature, rising sea levels, and then increased periods of dry weather, intensities of wet season, which are magnified. Just one example. Second example of mid to longer term threats to food security are population pressures. Population pressures which evidence themselves in terms of diet changes, where people want to eat more higher quality food, which then makes a bigger demand on us to grow more feed crops. And of course, finally, the third factor, which is very key as a threat in the mid to long term, is the declining number of farmers. And what this means is that we need to develop technologies that are much more user-friendly to farmers, but also require fewer people to allow us to farm and produce the same amount, if not more, food on smaller areas of land. So given all these threats to food security, what are some possible responses? In order for these responses to be meaningful, it is important that the responses cater to the 87% of the world's small farmers who reside in Asia, on the one hand, and secondly, to the large pool of urban poor consumers who require cheap food for them to be food secure. Very broadly, responses to address food security issues may be grouped into policy responses and technology responses. Policy responses in terms of policies which encourage research and development, policies which facilitate trade and exchange of agricultural produce are just two key policy areas. And of course, also policies that help to manage the demand for food and the pricing of food. Now, the technology challenges are the ones that, in some respects, lend themselves much more to human control and management. For example, science, which through research and development, results in new technologies and techniques to help us produce more food. Produce more food in different ways. One obviously is to develop new crop varieties that have higher yield potential. Second, develop crop varieties which help us to resist pest and disease outbreaks, thereby also reducing losses. Third, the development of crop varieties which help us to tolerate different aspects of climate change, increased flooding, increased drought, increased temperature, and so on. And of course, in terms of transport of food, develop crop varieties with a delayed and longer shelf life. This allows us to then reduce the losses and wastage in food that is shipped, especially fresh vegetables and fruits. These are all very important aspects of science and technology that can be achieved through conventional breeding. And conventional breeding was the main tool that was used in the first Green Revolution. In today's context, because of the urgency of some of these problems, we need to accelerate the time to produce these new varieties that have all these traits: tolerate climate change, pests and diseases, and delayed senescence and increased shelf life. We can do this through a set of tools that collectively are called modern biotechnology, which really includes aspects of modern genetics, molecular biology, and also technologies such as robotics. Now, the beauty is that all these biotechnology tools have been proven scientifically to be efficient, to reduce breeding time, which is the time to produce a new variety, and also they are safe. All the tests have shown that these biotechnology tools produce products which are safe. So the net result is that, yes, it is possible for us to address these issues that threaten food security through the development of crop varieties, which allow us in the end to have more surplus food. And one tool that has proven very useful is biotechnology. So it is really not conscionable, nor is it justifiable not to use these tools to address the present issues of the day related to food security. And ensuring food surplus through more and better varieties is definitely one tool that we need to tap to help us address food security.